And welcome back to Gear Zero. Why the hell am I still bothering with this?
You know, I have to say this game is certainly living up to its name.
I don't remember. I don't remember 80s action movies just wandering around doing pointless trials.
Well, don't you see? The
Yeah.
trial helps the game live up to its name, Gears of War Judgment. Cause get it, we're
It's
being
like
judged in a
You know that
trial.
would have been a really boring 80s action movie, The Judge, where you just do nothing but
Well,
sit
Dweebs,
around for a court trial.
in that case, I guess this game is even worse than Die Hard 5 in that case.
No, I'm
No,
not gonna go
no,
that
no,
far.
no, no, no.
Okay,
Die
but
Hard
again,
5.
I know nothing. I know nothing, but I'm pretty confident it doesn't involve a trial of John McClane.
Okay,
not
deal.
just that.
Okay, deal. I'm
We'll
not.
wait till we get to the movie.
I think
Oh.
a better comparison is if someone made a Star Wars movie that is entirely mostly focused on the Senate scenes from the prequels.
Anyway, Tio. I'm not even that big a Die Hard fan, and even I can tell you Die Hard 5 is the absolute pit. So let me put it like this. It's a movie that pretty much throws away what makes the Die Hard series. Just a random cop guy who tends to get caught up in the worst place at the worst time. Die Hard
And you know what
5.
the most ironic thing is?
What?
That's the only film out of all 5 movies that was meant to be a Die Hard film from the start.
Wait. Seriously?
And we
All
had
the
to
others
thank
were
Skipples for that.
based off like either books or newspaper articles.
And what, they were originally going to be their own films, but then got turned into Die Hard films?
Even the divisive fourth one, which I actually kind of like. Actually,
Yeah, believe it or not, 4 was the first Die Hard film I ever saw. It was when I was a kid. Had no idea what Die Hard was about, but I'll admit, I enjoyed it. As far as I knew, the franchise was known as Live Free or Die Hard. But yeah, Die Hard 5 essentially makes it so that now, actually, apparently John McClane is some super secret agent guy in on this, and now it's intentional that he's going to this place. Also, it has that dreaded father-son have to get along with each other narrative that we love
Great.
oh so much. And you know what's so bad, Tio? It is so bad that it has 2 cuts, which I kid you not, tell different narratives.
Oh, really?
the director's cut actually removes stuff, funnily enough.
Wow.
Including the daughter from Die Hard 4.
That can happen when certain scenes are studio mandated and the director.
Yeah,
wants them there.
that was a studio mandate.
Wasn't, yeah,
so
it's kind of the same
director's
that
cut
happened
cut
basically
out.
with. It's kind of similar to what happened with Highlander 2.
Mhm.
What
Anyway.
the director's cut removing.
Oh, that's the
stuff.
thing. Well,
Yeah,
that's the
so
thing.
the-
That's
there's-
the
there's-
thing.
The size cut that leaves it removes basically everything about them being aliens and
That's
all.
the thing. That's the thing, Teo. For as much as it's called a director's cut in some of the DVD releases, it's not really a director's cut. The director intended for that original cut to be the way it was. It's not.
Yeah.
It-
Didn't
it
you
just
guys tell
put-
me
it-
that
it
that
just-
cut started as
Oh,
a fan
why
made
don't you
cut?
call it like what we did with Dune, the Alan Smithy cut?
Honestly,
What
it feels
about
a lot-
why not just call it the worst sorry cut?
honestly, it feels a lot like the director wanted to basically put the blame on the original producers. Or like seriously.
Wow. It's weird. I thought you guys had told us that, the whole Zeiss cut started off as like a fan-made endeavor that was made
No.
official.
That's the thing. No. That's the thing, Jova. Remember, the director of Highlander 2 was the same director from the first game. That's the thing. This was his vision. That's it.
Oh, I
This
know.
is-
That's what I'm saying. Exactly. I mean, I thought that the cut that cuts out Zeist was fan-made at first before being made official,
No.
from what you told me.
No,
The
it
only
was from
reason-
Russell McCain.
no, that's the thing, Jova. The reason that cut was made was because of fan backlash, not for any other reason. Trust me, the director really wanted that original cut to be the cut. So-
Wow. I mean, I can only imagine what
hello?
Whoa. Snap.
That'd be like if Ryan Johnson made a cut of The Last Jedi that removed any mention of Canto
Voldo.
Bight.
Oh, can't do
or
that.
if George Lucas made a Phantom Menace cut that removed all the mentions of midichlorians. Like it doesn't make any sense because it's like
He built the movie around it.
What's the name of the director of Highlander 1 and 2 again? I forgot.
Russell
his
I
McCain.
forgot.
That's it, Russell. Yeah, my guess is Jova. Russell wanted to, quote unquote, fakely redeem himself by calling it the director's cut, even though it's not actually his cut.
You know,
it's
I
a cut
think,
that was mandated by fans.
you
fan
know,
backlash,
it
really.
really just doesn't make sense, though. How does he go from making Highlander 1 to Highlander 2? Like, Highlander 2 feels like it has nothing to do
know.
with Highlander 1.
Hell,
guys,
directors usually wait more than just one movie before
guys,
they completely lose their minds.
I know,
guys,
right?
it's interesting for mentioning director's cuts of films.
Oh.
Because of the upcoming Snyder Cut.
No, actually, about 40 odd minutes ago from when we're recording this, apparently Stallone's confirmed of that director's cut of Rocky 4 that they're removing the robots.
Is that a good thing
I
or
mean,
a bad thing?
to be fair, it was really the most baffling thing about it. Because really, the last thing that the Rocky franchise needed was taking a sci-fi angle.
Did
I
he-
mean, Rocky 4 was silly.
I can't wait to see Creed 3 on a space station.
Yeah. I love some of the responses as well for when Stallone said it. One guy said, "Don't cut the robot." Stallone just said to him, "I don't like the robot anymore."
Boy, was the robot that bad?
More like intrusive,
it was a-
Jova.
Yeah, I mean, the rest of the it's not like the rest of the movie was grounded in gritty reality to begin with. I mean, it's literally Stallone fighting a roided up Russian.
Well,
But,
that's kind of the point with the entire movie was basically not really a propaganda, but basically a gigantic, representation of the Cold War and a more romanticization way on how to end the conflict and all. So, for all intents and purposes, despite the silliness of having the opponent of Rocky being roided up by steroids, it was still fairly serious. But at the beginning, you're just smacked with this robot butler.
Yeah. I mean,
So,
why not do a director's cut of Rocky 5 and make it a decent movie?
In order to, there is no cut of Rocky 5, like, unless you have to delete the whole movie.
Okay. Seriously, I heard that Rocky 4 could be silly, but people still found it in their hearts to like it to some degree. But man, I don't think I've ever heard a good thing about Rocky 5.
Now, Rocky 4 is glorious cheese. If you're up for that sort of thing, Rocky 5 is just unpleasant.
I'm curious. I mean, okay, I've never seen it, but I've heard nothing but bad about it. But I haven't been able to get a general consensus of what's wrong with it.
The point of Rocky 5 was to try and dial down a lot of the sillier stuff from a couple of the earlier movies and try and bring Rocky back down to his roots.
Oh God, they overdid it, didn't they?
The idea itself was sound. The problem was the execution.
Let me guess,
much better.
Let me guess, they overdid it with trying to make it more realistic again, didn't they?
Yeah, and also they did this plot where Rocky trains a new guy to take his place, but it turns out the new guy is like, fuck you, Rocky, near the end.
What the hell?
No, just watch Rocky Balboa. That one did that infinitely better.
Is that Rocky 6?
Yeah, Rocky 6.
So
even so, in an indirect way, the story continues anyway in the Creed movies as well. So
yeah,
that is something I do like about Sylvester.
It's more of a passing of the baton,
Creed. Creed 2 managed to make some good pathos out of Rocky 4 of all movies. So.
Yeah,
really? I'll give Stallone this.
Yeah, it turns Ivan Drago from a over-the-top cartoony stereotype of a villain to an actual human being.
I'll give Stallone this. Say what you will about the man, but when he makes a bad movie, like a legit bad movie, like, say, Rocky 5 or...
Staying Alive,
or, The Expendables 3, he admits it, and he goes to great lengths to, rectify that with a sequel that does it
because Staying Alive is so in need of a sequel.
I don't know if he said the same thing about Staying Alive, but I did know that he did say that he's in the works of making an Expendables 4 that, will work as an apologies for Expendables 3.
Yeah, Expendables 4, we're so sorry.
Alright, can we...
Pause of judgment.
All right, can we actually have a
And
conclusion
then he
now?
breaks into the room, and then the
The
also
general is like, "You're still on trial."
"You're still on a trial."
It's Colonel actually, but yeah.
Wait for it.
Oh my god! For this transition, we don't even talk.
Oh,
So I guess.
We're becoming these. Excuse
I
me.
mean, you couldn't just have him break through the door to the other side and.
No. This
in
is
game,
like
I
a sort
mean.
of. It's a like I
Oh.
mentioned. It's a technique that's used to mask the
High
loading
loading
screens.
screens.
That said, though, I think Drips has a point. Why not at least have them say something, at least? Like, at least don't
Yeah,
mask
like,
it further.
Yeah,
For
I
the
mean,
flashback-
wow, one of the greatest cutscenes in modern history, kicking a door open.
Look.
For
This isn't
the-
the PlayStation
for the-
era where that was.
sorry.
This isn't the PlayStation era where that kind of stuff was impressive. Okay.
Like in Resident Evil, yeah.
Or Final Fantasy VII.
But no, it's like for the flashback scenes, you had the characters narrating over it. So like we went through this, and character one was thinking about these kind of things, but I didn't agree with that. Minor stuff, but at least it was there. Now that the flashbacks are over, now you get these scenes where the characters are going through the door and still not saying anything.
So Pedro, I get the feeling this game has just completely checked out, and it's just doing the bare minimum to get by at this
Okay.
The bare necessity, yes.
Me and Pedro, we know what's coming up, but and okay, to be fair, anyone probably could have guessed who's waiting for us at the end of all this. But let's assume you're just a casual player. As far as you know, you're just cleaning house in the courthouse. Like,
Pretty much.
there's pretty much no point.
The thing you can do is fight Karn, and that's basically it.
My point exactly. I mean, we know about Karn. I mean, granted, it kind of is obvious that Karn's alive, but let's...
So, wait. Now that I think about
Karn
it,
was introduced earlier in the game.
wait, you don't even get to fight the Colonel Dickhead?
No, there's a thing there. There's the impression that the Colonel is supposed to be a bad guy, just misguided.
Yes.
Well,
Okay.
I mean, I wouldn't
no.
even come off. I don't think misguided is the right word. He's a bloody idiot. I mean, imagine if
As well.
I mean, imagine if imagine if in like a, I don't know if I said this before, but imagine if in like an Ace Attorney game, they're having a trial, but there's a bloody world war going on outside. But the judge was like, no, we must all stay here. But Your Honor, what if a bomb falls on us and kills us all? Then we shall die as we mean to go on. But I don't want to die, Your Honor, shut up!
Well, okay. To another comparison, okay, the whole thing about the Colonel being morally misguided, whatever. Like, it's a kind of war on its own, but even please regarding that, the fact that it's consistently built up as this opposing sitcom arch nemesis, because that's kind of what we're going for, to burden his team, and you don't even get to kick his ass.
That's
just my favorite. Complete lack of catharsis.
Here's the thing, Tio. This game is going on the ideal narrative of, oh, he's a jerk, but you're just going to prove him wrong as opposed to beating him up or whatnot.
Yeah.
Which is nice and all, but can we go back to the thing?
Okay, I guess it's gonna be shown in a cutscene later on, but until the game, for the entirety of the game, he gave me the impression that he doesn't really give a shit
Oh,
on
I
what
can-
better than the others tell or show to him.
I think
So,
I can
whatever.
guess his. I think I can guess his fate. At some point near the end of the story, we run into him, and he's doing his whole. But while he's in the middle of doing his "we're still on trial" shtick, he gets killed from behind
By the locals,
one of the enemies.
yeah, I'm also suspecting something like that.
No, that's the thing. That's the thing. No, the only thing that happens. Whatever. Who cares? The only thing that happens is that we help him defeat the locust, and then at the end he shakes our hands, and then he goes.
My God, this is lame. Also lambent enemies now.
Also, he changed his mind real quick, didn't he?
Yeah.
I introduced to the master of lameness himself, Tom Bissell.
Tom Bissell, yeah.
And the other guy, to be fair.
I
And
know,
whatever
so-
it is.
I know,
Oh.
but this kind of lameness clearly transitioned into Gears 4 and 5.
Oh,
so
God.
Yeah, that's the thing. Well, I still don't know what happened specifically for Gears 4 and 5, so I don't know if the specific thing that I mentioned about the Colonel is like potentially a recurring thing regarding the villains of this new, path that the series is taking. So I don't know if it's a cliche or not, but
Okay, well, I mean, the fact that we have a colonel who, insists on punishing people despite the obvious dangers around them, that's definitely a cliche, if ever I've seen
no,
one.
I know that, but in a sense of being recurring for this microcosm alone, not necessarily just being a trope in itself, just being contained for this new part of the series. But, for example, one thing that is introduced that wasn't really. Well, it was, but only on a superficial level in the original trilogy, was corrupt authority, we got an example of that how in Gears 3, the politician, I forgot his name, turns out to have, actually kidnapped Marco's father and then built his Utopia resort on Discount Island,
Well, actually, no, that's not what happened. What happened? It was actually the Locust Queen that was keeping him captive.
True, but the building had been built. The entire complex had been built by the politician as a sort of escape route place. So we're worried hints of that. But with this new series, we already start with this by showing how. This colonel is vehemently potentially against common sense just for the sake of respecting the proper orders that the authority gives. Then from the little things that I see very saw in Gears 4, we have an actual new the new politician who is very antagonistic on whoever's not a cog in general.
You get to destroy her robot. That's something, I guess.
Yeah, there is that. I suppose, but that's what they say. What I'm saying again, it seems that Tom wants to explore this new angle for these new games. Which, okay, on paper, I don't really have anything against it. After all, it is a war. Even if humanity had to be united against the Locust, I can't pretend everyone actually did get along just fine despite the desperation. And even for the dickish not the dickish, but the way the politician acted in Gears 3, it was still balanced enough. It wasn't like he was having like an alliance with the Locust or anything, or he was refuting common sense on a complete level. He still did that speech in Gears 2 when launching the offense, for example. But here. This is Saturday morning cartoon level, and it's
It's
And
not
I've
even
seen a
fun.
lot more. I've seen a lot more fun Saturday morning cartoons.
Can you imagine if we've got an animated series for kids like we
Okay.
did for so
Imagine-
many
imagine
properties
trying to
in the
advertise
90s?
it. Hey kids, come watch Gear Zero. We have a bunch of boring
And that's it for
testimony.
that
That's
cutscene.
it.
With some really boring storytelling in between.
Reference. I mean, we already had cartoons that based on R-rated properties,
Oh,
like
no.
RoboCop. Oh my God!
They're
Actual
doing-
color from the flames.
That's
oh my God!
that's the thing, Teal. They're doing it again with the flames. The flames that don't look like actual flames, but look more like, a light of flame over it. Because the way the flame is looking like, it looks like water if it were colored red,
Isn't
orange,
this
and
on
yellow.
the 360?
Yes.
This is a 360 exclusive, yes.
Okay, so maybe
60
I can give it a slight pass.
The 360 version, the 360 console is a 2005 console. To be fair, there's only so much you can push from this one.
I feel like I've seen the fire effects done better on other 360 games.
Not to
though.
mention, you're using the retrocompatibility option on the Xbox One, meaning that it's still like a tad better from what it was on the original, meaning that most of the textures are better uncompressed.
Not so much, Taylor. The only real things that the Gears ports have on the 360, on the Xbox One, is VSync and a higher resolution. That's all it is.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what they meant. Well, that the high resolution means that the textures are a bit better, including the fire. Maybe it's because like that Jova. Maybe in the original there was like a sort of a manual filter that helped mask this thing.
That is a good point. That might be the case.
There are a lot of occasions where supposed HD ports of games, turned out for the worse because the original had effects that were covering, masking up things.
Oh yeah, the 7th gen of games was infamous for that.
Well, that's the thing too. Like when it comes to "quote unquote" better textures when it comes to these Xbox One 360 emulations, it's not so much on that regard. Like whereas the Final Fantasy 14, the first at the very least, the first Final Fantasy 14 on Xbox One actually did go up and put on the PS3 textures and replace the textures from the 360 version with the PS3 textures even. So
I think what Tio means is like, well, sometimes when you upscale a game, like
it's
say
similar
from
to how you play, for example, a Wii game with the Dolphin emulator. It actually does showcase how the textures were in their full potential, for example.
Pretty much. But yeah, regarding the thing about Karn and whatnot. Again, let's not forget, this whole trial was happening because Bear did his thing to try and get to Karn. Just remember that for later.
It doesn't really matter, really. The only real thing that's left of the story is we, quote-unquote, reconcile with the Colonel and kill Karn and live happily ever after.
Okay.
That's basically it.
Okay. The secret's out anyway that we're gonna fight Karn, but let's not forget, the main reason this trial is happening is because Baird took a weapon that could have saved a lot more people to try and take out Karn, which, yes, was considered something of the essence. But the fact that he didn't even succeed in taking out Karn, does that mean that the Colonel was technically right, though, seeing as how essentially what Baird did was apparently all for naught since it didn't even get Karn?
How is this fire not spread more?
It's conveniently placed fire, Lips.
Well, to be fair, Dwez, especially on 360, I mean, you can't possibly ask the developers to animate realistic moving fire that illustrates over the course of the entire.
You want a game that does that? There's a D2008 Alone in the Dark reboot, and he does it so poorly.
I mean, that's always been my thing. If you can't do something properly, just don't do it. Putting something in and not doing it properly just weird.
Also, Jova, to answer your question, it's yes and no, because yes, the bomb didn't stop Karn, but it killed the vast majority of its forces, so it still helped on the bigger picture.
I guess it does raise the question, though, Amico. I mean, seeing as how Karn was the main focus of it, and like the Colonel said, if used strategically, that bomb could have saved more lives, so...
Potentially, but that's just like what he said at the same time.
Let me put it this way, Dwebs. There are various sequences in the Uncharted games where there's also something that's exactly like this, where the fire just stays still on one thing. I didn't hear you complain. That's probably because this game's been doing a good job of distracting you from that fire.
Anyway.
Yeah, that's the thing. So far, all I've got from this game is the most boring Ace Attorney game I've ever seen.
Anyway, going back to what you were talking about, Tio, but yeah, I mean, that's the thing, Tio. You and me, we raised up the points about that. The game will completely ignore it. Like, you'd think that the Colonel of all characters would bring up the, well, I told you so thing, but no, he doesn't actually. Like, it's like all of a sudden they decided to change his character.
It's these weird things. It's the ragdoll. It's this weird thing, Jova, where the game turns what should be a potential debate of, ethical decisions and going against authority into a one-sided conversation where the writer says, "Oh, these things are because fuck you,"
Yeah.
I don't care if you disagree with me or not.
It shows that Thomas doesn't let's compare this to the original trilogy, where Marcus did get arrested sometime between somewhere before Gears, a few years before Gears 1, and we even see that in the Gears 3 prologue, where he tried his best to save his dad, where in that case it made sense because, okay, yes, he wanted to save his dad because he didn't want to lose him, but at the same time, it's not like the death of... It's not like it was only one person.
But yeah.
And being a soldier is supposed to be more objective and try to prioritize the law, the major. What's the term again?
The orders.
No.
Directives.
prioritize the many over the few, as Spock would say.
Not only that, but his actions may have accidentally led to the death of more people, especially if he misled his squad while trying to go after his father as well, or abandon his squad. That's an absolute no-no.
That worked as a genuine great dilemma because obviously you completely understand Marcus's choice, but at the same time you also understand why the coalition had to punish him because he might he did disobey orders in a way that didn't entirely justify on an objective perspective.
Now, in contrast, the way this
makes bloody sense. Okay, yes, the Colonel's argument is that if the missile was designed to save thousands, not hundreds. Okay, cool. But at the same time, is this really worth a 10-hour-long trial?
If you're being biased already on your own, the trial is completely unnecessary. Just throw them in the jail and throw the key. The one reason why they could also allow Marcus to be in jail because they were confident that their manpower was enough. But
let's pick in this one.
All right.
Okay, they burst open a door.
Oh, it's an obituary.
A morgue of sorts.
And they say nothing in this one.
Not even like, oh shit, look at all the
What's
bodies.
I mean,
oh, there we go.
Have,
There is. We just wait until the cutscene's over.
It's just like, oh, dead bodies.
You, but no, Jova. And then when the COG realized that they needed all the people that they could, they decided to actually Don bust out Phoenix. For the sake of having that extra manpower they needed so badly. Here. Again, it's just very semantic. It tries to be by the book.
Now,
it shows ineptitude.
True. Now, in reality, the main reason they're holding this trial is because the colonel probably wanted to be fair and by the book and all that, because from his perspective, he's in the right on this. Now, here's the problem with how this goes out. So for the majority of it, it's pretty much a one-sided thing that for the most part, as far as we, the audience, are concerned, Baird and his company are pretty much in the right for. That said, near the end of the trial, there finally is something to suggest that maybe the colonel does have a point about how they may have screwed over some of the war efforts here and there. That's the thing, though. At that moment, the game pretty much throws it aside and goes complete one-sided. Like, that is one of the worst things to do in a plot that's supposed to be supposedly debated. And it's at the moment when they finally do raise a stance that the colonel may have had a point. Hell, you think the colonel will be pointing it out, but they don't, conveniently.
Honestly, Jerv, I kind of lost any interest in the colonel's side when he decided that, even during a bloody war going on outside, he's like, no, we must do trial now.
Like, yeah, you know what, you got a point. I mean, honestly, regardless of how quote-unquote important the trial is, they should have retreated to a safer area and not have held it in such a dangerous area. Like,
I mean, you might as well hold it outside while you're at it. It's just as safe.
God. It really does come to a stand, though, that, honestly, they should have done this better and maybe give the colonel more character. Like, give us more of a better reason why he's so gruff and strict and, well, apparently also sexist, although the story seems to have forgotten about that at this point.
Yep.
All right.
We'll see you for the next part.
Where we finished the main campaign.
The epic conclusion of the main campaign.
It's over now?
Yeah,
almost.
Not just that, the final part of the main campaign is 23 minutes. That's how short the climax is.
Oh. Okay. So this is one of those after 40 kind of games.
All right. See you, everybody.
See ya.